Hey everybody, so the fighter tried attacking the trolls with his flame tongue because the player knew that the trolls were weak to fire, and the DM's like, no, you don't do that because your character wouldn't have that information, so he negated it, and the player started arguing about what's agency, what's not agency, and then the campaign just sort of exploded. They're meeting up next week though, so hopefully they've talked it out. Anyway, welcome back to the Sessions Canceled podcast. It's me, Isaiah, here with your two boys, Matt and almost said Sam. Matt and Josh.
No tables were flipped this episode.
Once again, for the 10 millionth time, you're supposed to say name pause, so we can respond, sir.
It's
how it goes.
80 something episodes.
I don't
They
care.
don't know who we are by now.
Someone could come in on random 80 episodes. Doesn't matter.
Look,
there's a flow.
You want to do it when you host? You do it when you host.
I wanted to say something.
Remember.
I wanted to say something, and it's not that hard to remember. I don't understand why you can't do it.
I don't know. Shrug.
Also, it occurs to me you never specified what we were talking about today, so you're just coming in hot and blind here.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little pre-warning would have been nice. You know, a little lube first.
Well, listen, he gave us two options.
I gave you two options.
But you didn't say which of the two. I thought we were doing the other one.
That's why I asked beforehand.
Well, it's funny, Matt. I wasn't here now, was I?
Wow, that's unfortunate there, Larry.
At any fucking point.
Stop by, Jeff. What?
You could have asked at any point on your race boner about Gojo.
No, the person who decides on the discussion is supposed to inform the other two. That's how that goes. That's how we've done it.
Today's episode of the Jujutsu Kaisen fan club.
No. Absolutely.
Why is Gojo just the best character of all time?
It's because his eyes are blue, and he's so cute, and he looks like Kakashi. But he's not Kakashi, he's his original character.
You could see my fucking face right now.
I just imagine you doing the Excalibur thing from fucking Soul Eater. Just the face. Like,
We just established I've never watched Soul Eater.
I know, that was mostly for the audience and Isaiah.
Oh my fucking god, dude. We literally just discussed this problem.
So Isaiah, what are we talking about today?
All right, well, as our cold open might suggest, today's topic, ladies and gents, is player agency and all of the weird shit that goes on regarding that.
I'm gonna need some definitions.
Don't worry, I have some.
Let's see.
Player agency can be defined as the amount of control that a player or players have over their own character's decisions, with the understanding that they will have the means to make those decisions with an informed understanding of the variables at play and the ramifications that could come from them. Basically, can the players make decisions? Do they have the info necessary to do so? Do they know how tits up it could go if they fail?
Oh, this thing.
I don't know if I 100% know where you're going with this, but okay.
Just sort of talking to player agency today. Like many of my topics, it was definitely sparked by something.
Oh.
Yes, Josh.
I was really expecting you to go with your other topic of choice, seeing as how both me and you are very close to ending a campaign, but okay.
Yeah,
You've thrown my entire brain, like I'm deeply unprepared now.
have I pulled a Cusco and thrown off your groove?
Yes.
I apologize.
Absolutely.
Throw off his groove.
I will now proceed you to throw you out of the palace.
Yeah, bailiff, throw him out a window.
Yeah.
And then
This was definitely sparked by something. So for background information, to all of my viewers who are also my players.
One day he'll say listener. One day.
Fine.
Today's not that day.
I do
but
some
one day.
days. I do some days.
It's not that hard.
Look, man, I don't know what you want from me.
Attention span.
No.
Impossible.
Anyway, we're on we're closing up on the end of my campaign, and there was this big moment that happened where one of the players had to like fight through this gauntlet of enemies, and it's what I talked about a few months ago about, they have to fight the enemies, and each enemy's worth a number of points, and then they can fail or succeed on phases, which make the subsequent phases easier or more difficult, so on and so forth. At the end of the second phase, the players had an option they had to basically pull a Fallout 3 and then go into the death chamber and flip the switch to like stop all the craziness from happening, right? And then they would take a bunch of damage, maybe get knocked unconscious, maybe take a lingering injury, so on and so forth. And you, as the viewer, listener, whatever you want to say, can say, well, if it's the second phase out of 3 phases, isn't that kind of unfair that you're gimping a player and you're sort of forcing them to take an ass load of damage before a potential boss fight? Yes, it is unfair. But being the hero, doing the right thing is often unfair. And there was 4 NPCs in the room who I thought, in my little noodle, if none of the players specifically speak up within 60 seconds of the issue being presented to them, an NPC will do that instead.
Wait, do what
Right.
instead?
Will go into the death chamber, flip the switch, and take a ass load of damage, maybe die.
Okay.
Now, the players took way longer than 60 seconds, which, fair enough. That's a very difficult decision to make. I knew the chances were likely that one of the several NPCs would have to do it. And I feel like when the NPC in question, like when I made the decision of like, okay, they've taken too long, X character will step up and they'll do it, they pushed back a lot. They were like, no, it's fine, I'll do it. It's like, no. Like the character is resolute on this. He's going to make this decision. He's going in. And the amount of pushback made me think that maybe the players thought that I was punishing them or, or sort of being like, well, you didn't make a decision and now someone else has to suffer for it. That's not what it was at all. It was just a sort of, not really even a test, right? Because I treat a lot of the moral decisions in my game like the ending of Nier Automata, which, don't know, spoilers, I guess. At the end of Nier Automata, when you do the final ending, you have a chance to get the best ending possible where all the characters are okay, huge fucking quotations there. But you have to go through this awful fucking bullet hell section that's like 6 minutes long and it's hard as shit. Now, if you fail enough times, you can be given help. And you find out if you take the help and you succeed that section, that help comes from other players who have knowingly deleted all of their save data for the game upon completing the final ending to help somebody else out. Now, you can choose to do it or you don't. If you don't do it, the game literally tells you, hey, look, that's fine. It is unfair to ask this of you. Most people will say no. Those of you who did say yes, though, know that you are like, your efforts will not be in vain, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
I treat a lot of my moral decisions like that.
Yeah.
Not even a trophy, but like a feeling of self-fulfillment.
There's no in-game reward. That it's literally an intrinsic feel good about being a good person type reward, because Yoko Taro is kind of a madman like that.
Yes. So I treat a lot of my moral decisions in the game like that, where, you know, like it might be realistic that a player would be like, that another character would be like, you're supposed to be the heroes, why didn't you step up? Sure, a character, especially like that character's husband, who was there as well, could have and likely would have said something like that, but I didn't want to put that on the players. That wasn't the point of the decision. I'm not trying to make them feel bad. I'm just trying to sort of test their willingness to do the right thing, or not even do the right thing, do something that they think needs to be done, right?
So what exactly was the point of the decision then? Like what?
Just see if they would do it. They didn't have to, and ultimately they didn't.
That's a little.
But there was no.
That's a little Saw-esque, but okay.
A little bit. And they didn't end up doing it, and that's fine. I'm not like, at no point was I like, wow, you guys didn't do it. Fucking losers. Like, no, that was not. But still, I feel like they may have thought that I was punishing them, and I'm not. And sort of, I started thinking about, did I take away, in that moment, did I take away their agency? Now, I don't think that I did, but that's kind of why I'm proposing this to you guys today, and we'll sort of explain to the listeners about things going forward.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, Josh, you want to go first, or?
Well, I feel like I need some clarification here because I don't know. Like, okay, so when you say, did I take away their agency? Is the question you're positing, did I railroad them too hard? Is that another way to phrase it?
Because I think that's a different thing than player agency. Because taking player agency would be like, you know, if you have a paladin character in the party who normally would do this, and you as a DM be like, oh no, actually, I don't want this character to sacrifice themselves.
Not allowed to.
Yeah, you're not allowed to. But the player's like, no, DM, I made the paladin. Let me do that. That's like taking the agency away. So I don't think in the situation like you did that necessarily. But I'm still. That's what I'm saying.
I'm still slightly unclear. Is the question you're presenting is, did I give them ample information to make an informed choice, or did I railroad them down a specific route? Is that the two scenarios you're positing, Isaiah?
Yeah, I suppose so. But as far as railroading goes,
well, because agency removal is railroading.
Sort of. Yes, sort of, but not in the confines of what I'm sort of looking for at the moment.
Well, it would still be a railroad if you didn't let them do something and they asked to do a thing and you said no, you're not allowed. Like that is a
well. So that I didn't do. Like I railroaded them insofar as the mission that they went on was not a choice,
wait,
right?
Hold on. Wait. See, I'm still. This is So then, what was the point of did I remove their agency? At what point were you saying that was potentially on the table?
When they were like, no, I'll do it.
Right,
and I think after the decision was made,
and they said
you told them no,
can't, but
because the NPC is going to do it, is what you said.
Yes.
I don't know that this is actually a question of agency. I think this is actually what you're talking about, a question of expectations.
Maybe. It might be. I've done all this research on agency. So
not to derail your entire thing, but I think expectations is actually what you're talking about. Because the situation here is the players have to decide whether to save an NPC or not. They could potentially risk their own livelihood saving said NPC. That's one expectation. The other possibility is a different NPC will do it and they may or may not die, which is sort of another expectation. And then there's the question of the timer, which I guess my first question here is, did you inform them that you were timing them?
Not overtly.
Okay, so that's where I think you get into the realm of you maybe didn't properly set up expectations. If throughout the rest of the campaign, you did not overtly put them on a timer IRL, and then in this one scene, you did put them on a timer IRL, which,
yes. So to clarify, I did put them on I have put them on a timer earlier in the campaign. I have done that, and after the timer was done, I've stated this was a timed. I either told them before or after, this was a timed thing. Either did or didn't. What have you? The scene in question was like a time bomb, basically, right?
Right, I get that.
There's a literal, maybe not a literal, but me being like, hey, the clock is ticking. You have to make a decision quickly.
The problem is that time in a tabletop game is expanded greatly beyond what time it takes in the real world.
Yes, it's sort of non-linear and often dilated at times. Yeah.
Right. So the problem is if you say the clock is ticking, it's like, okay, for example, if you're in a fight or if you're playing a turn-based video game, right? And the game says you have 30 seconds to do this thing, and then you get in the game. In game, you're gonna probably take an hour to complete that mission. In real life, you're gonna take an hour to complete that mission. In game, it's 4 or 5 turns, which is only 30 seconds or whatever. So the idea of you're on the clock is not, unless you stated. You basically what I'm saying is you were timing the players and you weren't timing the characters. And if that wasn't clear, then you did kind of fuck up there. If you didn't make that clear, because most of the time, right, if the GM says, you know, if the GM says via NPC, oh, you know, you're only going to have a couple of days to do this. And then the player says, all right, so how long do we actually have? And then the GM goes, oh, well, I'm not going to time it exactly, but if you take like 8 long rests in a row, something's going to change. You know, like I'm not timing you specifically, but I'm saying this is a pressure sensitive thing. We're not using exact numbers, but like the next action you need to do needs to be pertinent to the problem. So that's generally how role-playing games flow, is that the GM says, oh, you don't have a lot of time. And then actually IRL, the amount of time you have is the amount it would be normally. It's just about like decisions and actions. So by you timing the actual players, yeah, you did kind of get into like a little bit of a gray area, like fucky wucky zone, especially if they had no clue that they were physically being timed, you know? Like if you're if you were in a table, like if you were at the table IRL, you know, if you were, why do I keep doing that? I'm fucking leet speaking over here. If you're in real life, if you were sitting at a table, and a scene like this happened, you could put the timer on your phone, hold it up and show the players. And then they're like, oh fuck, we're timed. Playing online though, they can't see that. So you can't necessarily do that. So if you don't explicitly say, yeah, you're kind of getting into a weird zone.
Yeah. So yeah, the weird zone I 100% agree with. That's kind of where I'm stuck at. Is I don't feel like I did, but I'm not so married to the idea that I did nothing wrong to be like, no. Like I couldn't be, because a part of me does feel like I did something wrong. I just, like, the scale is sort of sliding that I didn't.
Well, so that's why, I mean, wrong.
Or not even did something wrong, but mishandled the situation.
Yeah, you might have mishandled it. I think. Bit. Yeah. Well, that's why I'm saying I think you didn't properly set up expectations in this scenario. It's less about removing their choice, because you gave them a choice. It's just they were not under the didn't know what the rules of the game they were playing was. You did not adequately explain the rules. If the, you know.
Well, so that's you know, if in the rules I've established, that is rule 2. Did they have the info necessary to make a decision?
They had the info to make a decision, but they didn't necessarily have the info. They didn't have all of the info around the decision.
I think it could have been one of those moments where, rather than timing them out of character, it could be one of these things where it's like, hey guys, let's take a pause for a moment and then let the players kind of discuss it and figure it out. Let them take, you know, don't let them take an hour, but like, you know, give them a couple minutes and then say, all right, when we get back into the game, then you're going to have like a minute to like make the decision, whatever decision you make. And I think this is also one of those moments, especially something like when a character's life, like sacrificing themselves kind of deal is on the line. A GM should let them know and be like, hey, if no one wants to do it, that's okay. You have several NPCs here for a reason. But if one of you wants to, that option is available. And, you know, that's when you say good will come of it. Because, again, it's a character. And especially nowadays, people are very attached to their characters. So asking people to do, like, you know, your character could potentially die in this situation, like making the ultimate sacrifice. That is a lot to ask for.
It is. It 100% is, and that's sort of why I very specifically was not going to punish them for not doing it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you kind of punished them in that you killed the NPC in question.
They don't know if he's dead or not.
This was like the last thing that happened in the session, and it's like, tune in next week. We'll find out.
The kill switch was flipped, and they got teleported to the upside down, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's still. Yeah. I don't know. That's still a little.
It's weird. I admit it. Yeah.
It's a little bit iffy. You sort of kind of punish them, I guess. I guess it depends on how they feel about the character in question.
I think when you start the next session, you should probably, or you don't have to, but maybe be like, hey guys, all right, so last week, it was a little fucky wucky. We could either, what do you guys want to do? Are you guys okay with letting the NPC sacrifice themselves? Do you guys want to step up? Because again, we can continue as things are, but I want to give you the option of maybe like rewinding the clock a little bit, because they just started in the Upside Down world, so nothing extremely major has happened yet. So you can kind of give them that option of like going back like a minute or two before they get zapped.
I could definitely do that. Yeah, I wouldn't be like opposed to doing it.
And to be honest, the whole sacrificing NPC thing it's been done. It has been done. It's a thing that happens in some campaigns in some module. Hell, like I won't super spoil for which one, but a recent Wizards of the Coast module literally just did that, where there's a thing and the players, the DM in the booklet says, if you want to save, this place, you can make the ultimate sacrifice and have one of the players do it. ... Or, Scrimbo Bimbo, the NPC, if no one wants to volunteer, will do it himself. So, like, it is a thing. You're not like the only person who's done something like that too, in like an RPG.
I mean, I don't think the sacrifice in the NPC is any particular issue. I really think the only fuck up here was just not being clear that the players were being timed. Yeah. Specifically the players were being timed. Not necessarily about the characters being timed, but the players themselves being actually timed in real life. That's where you kind of miss the boat.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it's not. Yeah, I mean, I don't really think it was a situation of like any sort of agency being taken away so much as it was just there's a lot of it's just a disconnect of expectation.
I think if you were more harsh about like, well, the NPC is doing it, and the player's like, no, wait, maybe I can make the sacrifice, then maybe, and you're like, nope, too late, he already did it, beep. And you're like,
well, so he basically was like, the timer went up, the NPC was like, I'm gonna make the decision, and they were like, no, and I was like, okay, he's pretty resolute on this. You can make a roll and DC 30, because it was like a, kind of hard to convince somebody who's already made peace with their situation,
Right.
They did not make the save, so they went, nope, I appreciate what you guys are doing. I'm going to handle it. A character tried to like physically move him out of the way, and they got force pushed for their efforts, and then he closed the door behind him.
Yeah. I mean... Yeah, I mean, you gave them the possibility, so
yeah,
it's like
even though it was DC 30, like you still put the option out there,
still
like
possible.
They could have, it was still doable. If you were just like, no, absolutely not, then that would be like, okay, the player's choice didn't matter, but you didn't do that. I will say I did. Because I told you guys about or maybe Isaiah, I think I just told you it was about the whole Waterdeep game with me. Like the reason I had such a bad experience with Adventure League, that was totally taking like my player agency out of the window. Like I couldn't do anything. I was under the DM. Basically, the DM had full control. No matter what decisions we made, like it didn't matter.
Well, do you want to give some context for this?
Yeah. So way back when Waterdeep Dragon Heist came out back in insert date here, I really wanted to try it out. I really wanted to play it because I got the book and I was reading through and I'm like, wow, this is actually a really cool adventure. I want to run it, but I also want to kind of play to experience it as a player. And Adventure League was still kind of coming up, but it wasn't really big online. Like most Adventure League games, you have to go to some comic shop or card shop or whatever, and they host, if you're lucky, they host it in like a city or town near you. But for me, I was like, I most of my D&D time, most of my playing was online. And I found some people who just started up trying to do Adventure League online on Roll20, and I'm like, oh, I can sign up. I can finally play. And they were the newest adventure, Waterdeep Dragon Heist. And I'm like, oh, sick. Finally, I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I can try out Adventure League, and I can, play the adventure. This is great. And this is what can possibly go wrong. Getting to the game, immediately the DM was more concerned about, he's like, yeah, I got to run like 30 games so I can get this reward. Because I guess, as a DM in Adventure League, if you run a certain amount of games, you get rewarded with items and whatever for when you play in Adventure League. And that's all this guy cared and gave a shit about. And one of the first, the major, taking agencies away was the bar thing that happened to me, where me and, 2 other people are trying to investigate a bunch of the Zentarum in the city, doing some shenanigans. And it was mostly me, I'm a barbarian. I'm trying to play the thug kind of character. I'm trying to use whatever I got. I'm like, oh, I got a pack of cards. Can I the barkeep seems pretty shifty. Can I try and play him in cards? DM's like, yeah, sure. All right. Yeah. I win. I get a really dumb high roll. And I'm like, oh shit. He can give me information now. And the DM's like, well, actually, because you have a -1 to your intelligence, I don't know if your character would really get the idea or understand how what's going on. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? And so he basically, every time he would ask me to keep rolling, rolling on I think you can get proficiency in gaming sets and cards. I got dumb lucky and kept rolling high, but the DM kept making excuses of oh no, but your character wouldn't do that, or your character wouldn't know that. I'm like, well, dude, I'm rolling high. Can't you give me a bone? And so after getting fed up with it, I'm like, okay, my character rages and I want to just grab the barkeep to scare him. And the DM immediately shut down. He's like, the bouncer hits you twice over the head, knocks you out.
Oh.
And I'm like, he doesn't have to make an attack roll? And he's like, nope. I'm like, can I take half damage because I'm raging? No. I'm like, so I'm just fucking unconscious?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, fucking great.
I would have just got up and left. I'm gonna be real.
Well, that was strike number 1. Strike number 2 was the after that and getting woken up, we were still investigating the Zentarum, but every lead the DM kept saying he kept trying to divert us and say oh, because we were trying to figure out the mystery. I'm like, we're trying to find where the Zentarum kidnapped this person. And everywhere we went to, the DM kept being like, did you try this place? Well, no, we're investigating all the leads. Oh, okay. Well, you should try this place. Okay. We go to a second area. Hey, did you guys go to that one place? You should really go there. I know the house you were just at told you to go there originally, so you should just go there. It's like, bro, why even give us these fucking options? Why give us options 1, 2, 3, and 4 when option 4 is the only actual fucking choice that matters? It's like, okay. And then the big one was I think I also mentioned it too, was the were-rat thing. We went to a sewer area. One of the players got bit by a were-rat, and this was this guy's first time playing D&D ever. He got bit by a were-rat, and this isn't really taking player agency away. This is more just being a dickhead. The player got, he bit by a were-rat, and we're like, okay, well, maybe we can go back into the city and find you a cure. And the DM's like, actually, no, according to the Adventure League rules, if you get bitten by a lycanthrope, your character dies. And it's like, oh, there's nothing we can do. We can't go to the city. We can't save him. There's nothing. And the guy's like, nope, he's just dead.
Matt, that is absolutely taking player agency away.
Oh.
Yeah, that's 110% being like, nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Because you just said, no, you can't do anything about it.
True. He did that.
Yeah, all of that was taking player. That's insane. Look, I'm not saying you should throw hands at player at Adventures League.
Yeah, no. And then,
well, it's not
the next session.
It's just the one DM in question.
It's just the one DM. It's not even my and I got soured on Adventure League because of that DM. But that's what happened.
Wasn't there something about a mind flare or the brains with legs killing you?
Yeah, the brain was like, that was the other
Intellect Devour. Thank you.
That was the
Wasn't
other
there
combat
something about
where,
that part too?
Yeah, that was the next session where the player, the one who got bit by the were-rat, literally was like, all right, well, I'm going to do the thing where this is my twin brother and I'm out for revenge.
Nice. Yeah.
Because I told him, I'm like,
classic.
Yeah.
This player was so fucking upset because he's like, I spent all this time on this character. I don't know what to do. This is my first session. I can't believe my first character died. My first time playing D&D.
Ever. Oh,
Ever.
fucking Christ, dude. Jesus
Ever.
Christ.
And so I was like, hey, man, listen, just don't change anything on the sheet. Just change the name or add Junior or something. I'm like, just say you're like twin brother. You're out for revenge. Like, don't worry about it.
Classic.
Like, talk to the DM. And so the DM was also trying to get this guy to make a whole new fucking character
Okay.
for some reason. And I kind of was backing the new player up too and being like, no, dude, why have him go through all the trouble? Just let him do the same thing. Oh, well, it's going to ruin the immersion of the game. And I don't really think he should do that. And I'm like, dude, why does it matter? He's changing the character's name. It's not exactly the same character. It's a game. Just fucking let him. And eventually the DM kind of gave in.
Like, I don't know where in the rules of Adventure League says it's any of your fucking business. Like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I would say that's multiple counts of removing player agency.
Yeah.
That guy's a dick.
And then the one that broke the straw was afterwards, where we had the one player who was doing the edgy cleric thing of like, I'll heal you, but you gotta pay me money first.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, Lord.
I fucking hate those fucking people. If you do that in a game, fuck you.
Fuck you and your mother and your dog and your mother's dog.
Exactly.
Dishonor you, dishonor your cow.
Dishonor your family, your sister's
And
cow,
so-
your cow's cow.
So this guy, for some reason, we got to the room where the Mind Flayer was. And the Mind Flayer basically was like, I'm gonna, I don't feel like dealing with you guys. And just threw an Intellect Devour at us and teleported away. And we're like, oh, well, at least we don't have to fight the Mind Flayer. That's great. But then we still gotta deal with the fucking Brain Dog.
Yeah.
The healer who was charging us money to heal us snuck all the way into the room where the Mind Flayer was, and basically was standing next to the Mind Flayer. The Mind Flayer teleported away, and where the Mind Flayer stood was his Intellect Devour.
Okay.
Now, you would think, as a DM,
Uh-huh.
no matter what the situation is,
Yeah.
you go for the closest fucking character to an Intellect Devour.
Uh-huh.
No. He made the fucking Brain Dog walk all the way to the other side of the room where my character was, who has a -2 to intelligence. Knowing that I would specifically fail the check, and targeted me with the Intellect Devour. And then I got real upsetty in my spaghetti because of it and said, all right, this is how you're going to play? All right. And so he's like, all right, Matt. So now you're controlled by the Intellect Devour. You want to kill the rest of your party. I'm like, okay, I rage. And he's like, well, actually, you don't do that. And I'm like, well, that's a natural 20, DM. So I think I'm going to hit Jimbo over there. And, oh, Jimbo's unconscious. Neat. And so the other players are starting to freak out, being like, oh no, he's raging. We're only level 1. Oh, shit. And now the GM is also shitting his pants because he's like, oh, no, they're only level 1.
I poked the bear. Why did I do this?
And so the healer guy, who was also on the other side of the room, was like freaking out. He'd be like, oh, he can't do that, DM, right? He can't attack his teammates. And the DM was like, I could hear the wheels in the DM, like
gears
the gears
grinding.
breaking.
You just have to look at him and squint, like.
Yeah, because he was trying to figure out a way of how to undo the fuck up he did. And I basically called him out on his horseshit and being like, no, I'm evil now, right? I'm possessed by the intellect devourer. So unless the other players take my guy out, I have to kill them. You said so yourself. And so the DM's like, which he could have, if he was even more of a dickhead, probably took control of my character and took my sheet away.
Yeah.
But luckily, I guess because of the situation, he wasn't thinking that far ahead. So I grabbed the unconscious player on my next turn and it basically beat one of the other players with the unconscious player.
Nice. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. And so the only players that were left was Healer, who was just taking the dodge action and trying to avoid my guy at all costs. Wasn't even healing the rest of still was keeping the fucking bit alive.
Still was keeping the bit alive.
And was refusing to heal the unconscious player that I beat the now secondary unconscious player with.
I would have killed him first.
And then the new player, my boy, who made my first player die junior. To which I didn't want to kill his character. So I specifically kind of made it that he took my guy out.
What a series of convoluted nonsense.
Oh yeah. And then after that session where basically 3 out of the 5 players are either unconscious or dead. Because I think after the intellect devour, my guy died because of it.
Probably.
And I think I ended up killing the player that I beat the first player with.
Yeah.
And then after the GM's like, hey, so I don't know if your character, I don't know if that would really happen like that. If you want, you can kind of keep your character. And I messaged him like, hey, I'm not coming back, man. No thanks.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of his own actions.
Consequences of my own actions.
Yeah, and I messaged the player, the new player that I liked, and I'm like, hey, man, I'm leaving the game. It was nice meeting you. You should probably find a new group because this guy is a fucking asshat. And I don't know. I haven't heard.
That player never played D&D again.
I fucking bro. I feel so bad for that guy. Like,
it's possible.
What the actual shit?
Yeah. What a good time. You had told us some of that story before, but you did give us the full birth of it. That was what a hilarious.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, dude. So shite. Fucking A.
Like nothing but railroading and fucking taking
that's actually removing players. That's like legit removing players' agency.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like your decisions don't matter. Go do the thing. You're like, but
here's a tip for all you listeners. If you're at an Adventurers League game, right, and the DM says anything even remotely similar to "I'm doing this for the paycheck," or the fucking Adventurers League, the Adventurers League credit in this case.
He did basically say, I'm doing this for a paycheck.
Just leave. Don't give him the benefit. Just walk out, because then he's not going to get the Adventurers League points, and maybe he'll rethink his stupid ass actions. He probably won't, but he might.
Damn, he really just said, I'm here for a paycheck.
Yeah.
That is, I didn't think about it that way, but you're right. That's wild. It's really funny.
If guy is being asshat and he's running your party, you have the sessions canceled approval
to cancel your session.
Ground. Burn it all to the ground.
Burn it all to the ground and cancel that session.
Yeah.
To stay on brand, All right, Isaiah, how do you segue us out of this?
Well, so we're we've talked a little bit about like the whole agency thing and whatnot. So I think we should sort of go over like just a quick example to the listeners who've not picked up quite on like the application of agency. Player agency is, in this instance, choosing to save a town from a demon incursion and knowing, right, if the DM tells you, if you don't save this town, they're fucked. Everything burns to the ground. The demons are going to move to the next town. Then it's going to be a bigger problem. If your players go, or if you as players go, yeah, we don't want to do that. That's having agency. And assuming that the DM does not, you can be punished for not doing it. You made your decision. Your decision has consequences.
Taking agency,
the ability for you to say, we're not doing that, and then the DM not obviously doing some weird roundabout shit to put them in front of you anyway, That's having agency.
Yeah. If the DM just had like a bunch of the flaming fist turn around, like as soon as you're like, no, we're not dealing with this, turns around, flaming fist guard right behind you, a sword aimed directly at your chest. No, you have to go save the town. It's like, motherfucking, I hate this.
True. So yeah, that would be taking away your agency. If you say we're not going to work for the flaming fists, and then you get in, time skip wise, you get locked up in prison overnight, and they take away maybe 10 gold pieces from you. You still have your agency. You're just being punished for your decision. Agency is not, for any of the DMs who are people who are looking to run or running, agency is not saying, well, players can, when they fought those trolls, they could have chosen to cast a spell or swing a sword. That's not agency. That's not agency. That's just playing the game. Yeah, that's playing the game. Don't kid me or yourselves. I'll smack you. Don't do it. Now, you might be wondering, to some people who are like, why is this important? Because you might be a little more of a passive player, or you might be someone who doesn't really, you just kind of want to go with the flow. Fair enough. No shame in that. A lot more often than not, agency is really what provides the depth of any player-driven experience, right? It gives the GM's world, whatever they're doing, it gives it a sort of lived-in feel, and it kind of allows players to go from just sort of active participants watching the events of the campaign fold out from the couch, and turns you into more of an active participant who's collaborating in the storytelling experience. Now, I know that there are definitely people who are like, well, you can't give players agency 100% of the time, which then leads into like, how much agency should you give your players, right? Like, you have to walk a fine balance, and at times you might take their agency away. As long as there's a logical, grounded reason for it, Or let me ask you guys, because so now you sort of get my opinion on it, right? How much agency do you think a player should have at any given time?
As much as reasonably would make sense in the fiction.
Yeah, for their character.
Which is maybe perhaps a bit of a cop-out answer. Another way you could phrase it is, it depends.
It depends.
Yeah. Honestly, it depends, because like, I've been in instances where, all right, I'll ask you guys if this is like me as a DM, did I take a player's agency away? We've probably all been in the situation where, party is trying to sneak in someplace, or the party wants to, enter the castle, and they have a multitude of ideas of how to do it. You have the one sneaky character who's like, guys, I'll go in, I'll scout it out, and I'll come back. The rest of the party is full of just, they're just like, nah, we just want to kick down the door. An argument ensues where most of the party who wants to just kick down the door are arguing with the one player who wants to sneak. Me as a DM being like, and I don't know if you guys, running for rogues. This has happened where the sneak mission becomes the rogue is playing a mini game where he's just stealthing, and the rest of the party are sitting with their thumbs up their asses, waiting for him to finish his mini game.
Yep. It's the hacker problem in Cyberpunk games.
Yeah. So as a DM, I said, hey, let's put it to a vote, and whatever the outcome is the outcome. Obviously, sneaky character got outvoted immediately. So as the rest of the party are like, all right, we're gonna go kick down the door, the sneaky character, basically, as the party kicked the door down, snuck away, and during his turn, their turns, would be stealthing and basically doing everything that the scouting ahead that they were going to do immediately, and not sticking with the party. So by putting it up to a vote, was I trying to take the player's agency away? Because in my mind, I felt like I gave the option out there. I knew the outcome that was going to happen, but I'm like, you know what? Let me at least see what at least the players would want to do. Let me put it in their hands, rather than just be like, no, sneaky guy, you can't do that. We are kicking down the door.
Well, it doesn't sound like you at any point stopped the players, right?
Yeah, that's another interesting gray area where you didn't take a player's agency away. The players told the player, no, because we want to play the game too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
you could maybe make an argument that several players took one player's agency away, but that gets way too into the weeds about what agency really is and that gets a little too deep into it.
Yeah.
So I think it's just easy to say you did not take their agency away, but the players chose to not let that player do something.
Yeah. Or you have the classic example of you're at dinner with Strahd and the rest of the party are trying to talk to Strahd, and you have the one barbarian who's just like, must resist axe to face, must kill vampires, and then just bursts up from the table and tries to murder Strahd when you're trying to be diplomatic with them. And it's like, as a DM, then it's like, because I've read so many horror stories about players who have either tried to fight Strahd during that diplomatic scene, DMs who have shut players down for trying to fight during the diplomatic scene, other players shutting down other players for trying to fight during the diplomatic scene, and then other players who shut down the diplomatic players because they just wanted to fight during the diplomatic scene. It's like, nobody wins in this situation.
Yeah, it's a bit of a wild circle jerk of being like, I want to kill, but I don't want to kill. Well, I don't care. Well, I don't care that you don't care. Well, I don't care that you don't care that I don't care.
I think
like,
the difference.
Billy, what do you want to do? I just want to leave Barovia, for the love of God.
I like, just real quick, can we just like smash cut to our characters so ready to throw hands with Strahd, and then him being like, y'all want dinner? And we all just went, yeah,
hey,
shit, I could eat.
I mean, I guess.
I think my favorite was when Strahd's like, guys, I just want to die. And then my character's like, okay, stands up, pulls out axe. The rest of the party, no.
Hold on.
What was Adrian / Aridin? Was he a cleric?
I was just going to be like, I was a cleric. So I was just like, listen, man, like, I'll do the holy thing if you want. We can, I could chop off your head. I could, put a stake through your heart. Whatever way is more comfortable for you to die, I'm here for you.
I got you, bud.
For the Raven Queen.
Yeah.
I'll comfort you in the last few moments, like that creepy doctor.
I'm down.
I think the thing about Matt, you deciding whether to let the sneaky guy sneak or not or whatever. Yeah. And the players being like, no, we're going in. The thing there, so you as the GM didn't do anything. The thing there is that this is where we start to get into that power dynamic discussion.
Yeah.
The GM, the GM of a game has a different power dynamic to the players of a game. So when people talk about removing player agency, they are almost always referring to the GM taking player agency away from the players, because the GM is in a position where they can more readily do that. And the social contract power dynamic is that that's more accepted, is that the GM is going to sort of fuck with, take away, remove, adjust, the agency of your actions. When you're getting into a player-on-player situation, can one player remove another's agency? Yes, obviously. But it's not the same kind of deal as when a GM does it. So it's sort of a different topic. And it can still be a problem, but generally, if a player is sort of fucking with what another player can do, generally that sort of will make sense in the fiction, and it's almost not the agency removal so much as it is another player is doing something. It's kind of it's what my character would do situation a little bit. They're doing something that their character might reasonably try to do, another character's arguing with them, and it's all sort of making sense in the fiction. It sort of checks out. Nobody's being actively held at gunpoint. And, you know, as long as the players are mostly being cordial about it and sort of working it out, whether in or out of character, it's fine for the most part. You just as the GM, that's when you go from being the referee to being the babysitter, where you have to kind of decide, are the children playing too rough or not? If they're playing too rough, I'm going to stop them. But if they're not playing too rough and one of them power slams the other one into the couch, he'll probably be okay. I'll just let it happen. You know what I mean?
There.
It's the thing where you watch your animals are like fighting with each other, and you're trying to decide if you should step in or let them work it out between each other, because, you know, they're dogs, and sometimes dogs need to like figure out who's in charge and who's not. And so you sort of sit there and watch them and go, all right, if one of them really starts to bite the other, I'm going to stop them. But for now, I'm going to let them work this out because I think they need to work this out.
Yeah.
In shorter words, you pull. Sorry, Matt. Go on.
No. What were you gonna say? Right?
In shorter words, you pull the Dr. Sarazawa from the Godzilla movies. Let them fight.
Right. Yeah. You know, because there is a certain degree of like, not to complain. What?
Hey?
Not to compare players to dogs, because that's weird. But there is kind of an analogy there where if you know, anyone who's owned multiple animals in the same house has pretty much always dealt with this situation where the two animals interact and, you know, one might be bossing around the other, but you're like, you kind of let it happen because you're like, they need to figure out what each other's deal is. They need to figure out who's in charge. And that's just what they do. So I'm just going to let it happen. But if the cat swipes the dog in the nose and cuts his face open, I'm obviously going to stop him. But if we don't get to that point, you know, a little hissing is okay. With players, it's like sometimes you kind of do the same thing where you go, okay, they're having a bit of a tension, but I'm going to let them have this tension because it's probably something they should work out. But if it gets ugly, I'll stop them. You know? Like, it's a thing. Again, not literally comparing people to dogs, but like it's the same mentality.
Well, so well, I mean, to take it away from the animals, you go from the referee to the peacekeeper, right?
Yeah, basically.
Like, players can have a disagreement, they can have an argument. As long as it's peaceful, it's fine, right? The second there's like mud flinging of any kind, name calling, threatening of violence, unless it's the GM threatening the player with violence, in which case you just have to hold that. But any of that's when you can be like, all right, cut the shit, act like adults. That's what we are. Talk this out.
I hope we're adults. Don't play with children. If you're an adult, don't play with children.
Unless you're running Adventures League. But don't be an asshole about it.
Oh, well, yeah, if you're specifically, I mean, that's different.
Actually, have you guys ever read like the Young Adventurers books that Wizards of the Coast have made? Dude, they're like, I have a couple. They're pretty cool. They're pretty interesting books. They have whole brand new art for all the like monsters and characters and stuff. Like, if you need inspiration for like a new character, they separate each book from like, you know, here's monsters, then here's like bigger monsters, then here's like melee fighters, spellcasters, dungeons, big bad evil guys. If you want inspirations for shit, just look up the Young Adventurers book. They're fucking super sick.
Maybe the monster manual should just be organized that way, or have a section for that. That'd be crazy.
One day.
Imagine.
Imagine all the people.
Can I just say, I fucking hate it when companies do shit like that, where they have a really good idea for a thing related to their product, but they release it as like a secondary or tertiary product, not related to the main product. Then you look at it and go, why isn't this in the main product?
Because you're like, I'm never going to look at this other thing.
Yeah, well, there's no rules for like how to play in the Young Adventures guide.
No,
it's
I know,
mostly here's the monster. Here's how deadly is it? Is it 1 to 5 stars? And you're like, wait, why isn't he getting star rating?
I know there's no rules, but I'm saying the concept of organizing monsters by like, here's the caster monsters, and here's the fighter monsters, and here's the big bad evil guy style monsters. Why doesn't the DMG or the monster manual have a section that breaks monsters down in that like, that's a good idea.
Well, they organize them by like category, like, you know, how it used to be was, here are Gith, here are Drow, here are demons, here are devils, here are dragons.
That's not
now it's like, we're gonna do it alphabetically, so Zuggtmoy's at the end of the book.
Yeah, which is also not helpful. Like,
yeah, it's not helpful. It's fucking it's unorganized. It's like, but we put it at the end for Z, and it's like, no, put it at D for demons. like you were doing, and
Well,
tell the rest of the people to go fuck themselves.
The
They
problem,
can read.
The problem is that you don't know, like, such a stupid thing. The problem is not
That's a
even
weird
so much.
tirade,
Yeah, the problem is not even so much that. The problem is, if, for example, if you don't know, it's like, oh, I want an evil caster style villain monster. There's no way to know that without just looking through. But if they had a section where, like, here's the sort of castery type monsters you could use if you need something like that, then you could just look at that and go, oh, well, okay, I'll look for those. And then you could look through the alphabetical stuff. Like, it should be, I'm not saying the whole book should be organized that way. I'm saying it should be, whether it's alphabetical or by type, whatever. But it should be, here's all the monsters, and then here's a section categorizing the types of monsters. Anyway, this is not relevant. But yeah, I hate when companies do that shit where they have a good idea outside of the main thing.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? Something about dogs.
Yeah.
I think dogs.
Yeah, so I mean, we basically kind of talked about everything that I had written down in my notes.
Nice.
The answer
we're that
depends
good.
on a number of factors, not including but not limited to the game system, the genre of the game. For example, like if you like, player agency is really important unless you're playing something like a horror game, right? Because sort of the whole point, the crux of truly being scared by something is that you are not in control of a situation, right? I guarantee you, if the fucking campers in Friday the 13th were aware, just throw Jason in the fucking water, they would have done that. It would have been a lot less scary because there was a solution to the problem. In Call of Cthulhu, there is no solution to the problem. Your character is going to lose your mind, and that's sort of what you signed up for. So you're more okay with not having that agency.
Well, so that's where you get into that funny thing. So you do have agency in that scenario. The agency you have is agreeing to the GM, fuck me up, fam.
Yeah, well, your agency, you are purposefully and knowingly relinquishing your agency.
You're relinquishing your character's control, but the agency you have is the. It's the. Do I go into the weird play? Do I make this weird? Let's make this weird. All right. It's kind of like BDSM.
You see? I immediately know what you're going.
Yeah. Well, because it is, right? Because, it's the thing where it's like, if somebody ties you up in a horny way, you have no control over the situation. You are hogtied. But the agency you have is that you agreed to be hogtied. You asked for someone to do it, and then also presumably you have a safe word, which is also part of the agency thing, right? So, like, it's kind of the same idea where if you're playing the horror game, the agency you have as a player is, yes, GM, I am giving you permission to, as I said, fuck me up, fam. And if you rip my character's, control away from, if you rip the control of my character completely away from me and turn them into a horrifying goopy oopy monster on the floor, it's okay because I agreed to let you do that. That was me taking control of my agency. And also tied into that should be essentially a safe word, which is like, all right, you're pissing me off, GM, like reel it in, bud, or you're doing a little too much of X, Y, or Z thing or whatever, reel it in.
I was about to say, would this be added into the, I mean, not exactly the X card decision.
Yes, it's sort of adjacent.
Yeah.
It's like an adjacent thing. The X card is the X card is intended to be kind of a shorthand for when you don't have the. The X card is when you go to pay the hooker for the BDSM session and like she has a set of rules that she just uses because you don't really have time to talk it out because you and the hooker aren't dating, right? So you don't have a lot of time to like go through the whole thing. So we have a couple of shorthands in case things get ugly because like that's her job. It's that kind of situation.
I just love that Josh is just digging himself deeper.
I'm not wrong. I'm not saying anything heinous.
No, he's not. You're like, you know what? We're gonna make it weirder.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, whatever.
Make it weird.
I went down the path, so here we are. But it's literally what it is. It's literally what it is, right? The X card.
You're like, all right, and the drow is going to hit you with his short sword for 11 damage. Oh, harder, daddy. Excuse me?
What? Well, it's like, because you got to remember the X card was literally designed for like convention play. That's what it was made for originally. Because the whole point is that you have an X on the table, and when you're in, because again, like hiring the hooker, you don't have a lot of time at the convention to explain to the GM all your deep past traumas or whatever. So you have the X card on the table, and if the GM steps over the line, you tap the card and say, hey, yo, reel it in, right? That's what it was designed for. So yeah, the X card is sort of an adjacent thing to that agency. It's when you don't have time to discuss the player agency fully, so you use kind of a shorthand version. I don't know really necessarily where I'm going with this, but yeah.
It's fine.
I'm just going to keep using the BDSM analogy until I run out of ideas.
Yeah.
You know.
I put a few more points in here, like, what is a situation where, you know, a player might have their agency taken away and it's not necessarily like this intentional issue. And I think I've whittled it down to two pretty good situations. The first one being is like, you know, as I said before, or I didn't say it before, but, you know, some other things that could be taken into account is, you know, like I said, system, genre, number of players, the player and DM experience playing the game. Context is always the biggest one, and like group familiarity. If you've got, say, an experienced GM who's got, you know, and that GM knows that all their players are new to the game and they don't really know the flow of the motions, you can definitely have a situation where a GM might, you know, take their, you know, I don't even, at that point, yeah, you get into another weird area where you're not really taking their agency away. You're just sort of leaving things a little more closed-ended and railroady because the players might not know the extent of their ability in the narrative itself, you know? Like, players might not know that they can just go, well, I just want to walk left.
I mean, here's the, you want to get like, you want to get really down this rabbit hole? You want to play Pedantic Land?
I mean, not necessarily, but...
Well, not in a bad way. I'm just saying, so... Here's the thing. This is why this is like a nigh impossible topic.
Mm-hmm.
Because...
Yeah.
If you get really, really into the game design philosophy weeds, you could make the argument that every time you ask a player to make a saving throw, you're removing player agency. Okay? Obviously, that's an incredibly extreme example, and that is, in a way, a kind of agency removal that everyone has just agreed to non-verbally, right? We all just go with that because it's part of the game. It's part of the, as I love to say, part of the social contract. Yep. In the same way, you pay the hooker because, you know, you're supposed to. Yes, I'm going to keep doing this. You know,
it's like, all right, guys, the rocks are falling down the landslide. Everybody make a deck save. No, DM, I don't want to.
Right.
Okay. You take 30 damage. No, yeah. I don't want to.
Right. So.
Yeah, yes, you can get really into the weeds, but I
hold on. I have a point. I promise. Hey. So yes, if you want to really get into the philosophy of it, you can get that deep down into the weeds. But you know, there's a lot of stuff like that in tabletop and in life. I will drop the hooker analogy this time, but you know, you can imagine what other examples in life there might be to this. Where the agency removal is a thing we all just agreed to prematurely before anything else was even discussed or thought about. It's all just like, yeah, that's the thing we do. It's fine. You know, when you buy something at the grocery store, you're not appalled when they ask you for money, right? So there's a lot of that. And that's obviously a situation where it's fine to remove the agency because that's kind of the point. On a more broad and more loose level of things, I think it's generally fine to remove player agency when it is for the player's benefit.
Oh.
All right, should I
am like gasping.
I just had a... No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to use the BDSM comparison again, but I just had another thought. But like,
yes, you dirty bitch.
Well, because it's a really good. The reason I keep using it is because it's actually kind of a good analogy for the whole thing.
So we know someone who's failing No Nut November.
Listen, Matt, I'm not even into the BDSM thing, which is why it's kind of funny. What I mean is, when it's for the player's benefit, is when it adds an element, when there's something about it that adds to the element of the fun or the interest. So, for example, a lot of people love to say, don't tell the player characters how they feel. Never control or dictate their emotional state. Which I agree to sometimes. Most of the time, I agree to that most of the time. The thing is if you think about in real life, there will be times where you'll have a gut reaction to a thing that is not your logical reaction and is not necessarily how you're even really feeling. It's sort of it's your reptile brain kicking in type of reaction, right? And so if the characters walk into a room and see a horrifying scene and you explain, you all get a bit of a lurching in your stomach as you feel like the bile kicking up and you try to hold back throwing up. Something like that, I think, is an okay example of effectively taking away a character's agency, because it's enhancing the moment, it's adding to the scene, you're making a point, and you're not doing it for a long period of time, and it's not something really, really drastic, right? Like, in the grand scheme, whether the character throws up or not isn't relevant. It's not going to do anything. So by just throwing that in there a little bit, it adds to the effect. It can add to the moment. So that's where I think taking away agency, or the classic example is the cutscene. And I mean this both in video games, but also the tabletop equivalent. You need something to happen. It's going to be cool if it happens. You don't want your players to fuck with it. You want them to trust you and let it happen. So you take away for a moment the control that the players have over the characters, and something happens, and then the players react after the thing happens. You describe something that's happened, and then you go, okay, now you're here. What do you do? So, a classic example, a portal opens up next to you guys. It tears a hole in reality, and the force of the the vacuum-esque energy, the force of the portal opening sucks all of you guys through. You're all pulled through the portal and spat out the other side. You all look around and stand up. You all look down. You see that there's sand at your feet. You're somewhere on a beach in the middle of nowhere. There's a guy in a hood talking to you cryptically. He's saying something about getting Norded. You don't know why. That's just
Actually, GM, I use my reaction as the portal opens to throw my grappling hook at the nearest pillar, and then I stay and I pull myself out of the portal so that doesn't happen to me.
Right. That's a situation where I think it's fine to take away your player agency, because you don't want the player to be like, I use my reaction a bit. No, shut the fuck up. Yeah. Trust me. I'm doing a cool thing. This is going to be worth it. Just let me take away your control for a minute. That's the kind of situations where I think it's, A, it makes sense, and B, it's actually justified.
Actually, DM, I bought the Planescape book. I have the portal feat, which means portals don't work on
suck
me.
My balls. So. Yeah, and it's. I think one of the keys to it too is not doing it for an extended period of time. I think that's really important. You may enjoy getting tied up and slapped with a paddle, but you're only going to do it for an hour. If you do it for 24, at a certain point, your body's going to give out. You're going to want some water and food, maybe go to the bathroom, I think generally player agency removal type stuff should be short, condensed situations if you're going to do it. There may be, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule, obviously. There may be some situation where it makes a lot of sense for an extended period of time, like something happens in the fiction where it makes sense, but generally I say keep them on the short end. The cutscene example, don't explain something that's going on for 30 minutes straight. Your players are going to tap out eventually. Yeah. In the same way that watching a 30-minute cutscene in a video game, eventually you just stop caring because you're like, I just want to play the video game.
What, you didn't?
The new Call of Duty?
Are you saying you didn't enjoy the 8 hours of cutscenes that was Metal Gear 4?
I haven't
plebeian.
played Metal Gear 4, and one of the main reasons I haven't is because I know the final stretch of the game is 2 hours straight of cutscenes.
How could you? It's like watching a movie.
Yeah,
It's like watching 4 movies.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
For the
Just like the new
price
God
of
of War games.
4 movies.
For the price of 4 movies. Yeah. Yeah, that's so, as a general rule of thumb, keep them on the shorter end. Again, and also, plus, if you're tied up for too long, the ropes are really going to start digging into your arms and legs and shit. They're going to leave marks and bruises, I said I was going to drop this bit. I'm not dropping this bit.
The episode like picture is gonna have to be now, right?
No. God, I wish, Matt, but no.
No, you just gotta get one like big sensor bars and then a GIMP. And then you
Just get the what is
Okay,
it?
that's
Get
really funny, but I'm not going to.
What are the tiny people called in League of Legends? Yordle? Get the
Yordles?
Yordle GIMP from fucking Arcane.
Oh my God.
oh.
I hate it here.
You started this, not
I know
us.
I
that's
did.
sad.
I know I did. I don't know.
You
Look,
brought this tool to the table and now we're all using it.
look, it just
What happens?
really works as an
It does.
analogy,
It does.
Look, I'm not saying that tabletop role playing and sex have a lot of things in common, but that is basically what I'm saying. Anyway,
I'm about to test your constitution.
Yes, following off what Josh said earlier, you can get very pedantic about it. The practicals are really what we're focusing on, just for the record.
well, yeah, obviously, I'm just saying, there's
No, I know, because look, there are certainly
There's room.
people who might argue like that exact argument you made, and then you have to be like, well, yes, but practically speaking,
which
yes, but actually no.
which exact argument? Oh, you mean
the,
like
it's an infinitely expanding like Gordian knot of
yes, yeah,
having
yes.
Yeah. I
Your
actually
say.
do want to also add to the whole like, it's what my character would do thing. Because I kind of hate that term.
I do too.
Just because it when most people say it, like, if you have a good group, it's fine.
They say it to be a shitlord.
Exactly. When they say it, it means that shit's about to go down. And I've had that where I've talked to him actually in the 3-year game before that, because a couple of my players used to do that, and then we had like, I don't want to say we broke the habit as a group, but instead what we would do is I would be like, hey guys, hold on, time out. Like, can we talk about this? I know your character would really, 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 really stab the guy, but it's bad manners for the rest of the group who really don't want that to happen. Rest of the group, do you all agree, or am I wrong? And then the rest of the group would be like, yeah, can you please not do that? I get your character really wants to stab this guy, but it's gonna fuck up every other thing, and I don't want to fight. I don't have any HP left. I didn't short rest. I don't have any spell slots. I'm the warlock. So,
I'm the
it's like, you just gotta again, the communication. Talk to your players.
Does that analogy mean that just the warlock is just never in the mood to fight? It's like, well, I'm the warlock. I can't do this. And it's like,
Yeah, basically, it's like, unless I take my nap, I can't fight, guys. I can't do it. I wasted my spell slots. I casted fireball twice. I'm done. I'm done for the day.
Yes. I mean, yeah. I mean, yes. You're correct. I don't really have anything to add. I also hate the "it's my player, what my character would do" defense. I was just using it because it's a good.
Yeah. No, I get it.
It worked in the context of what I was saying, basically. Yeah. But
No,
but
I just wanted to add that.
Definitely don't use it to defend shitty behavior. Yes.
Yeah, don't use it to justify being an asshole. If you're gonna be an asshole, don't ruin it for everybody else who's actually like who would do something logical and contextual.
Hey.
Right? Because I think the biggest thing about it's what my character would do. You have to ask yourself: is it really? In a vacuum, sure, right? Absolutely,
yes. Right? Yeah,
in
right.
In a vacuum, your character, if they were invited to the table by Strahd, would almost certainly throw hands.
Yeah,
alone.
Machi.
But
Yeah. I know what we were gonna say.
I'm sure Aridin would have just like, yes, I want to throw hands. Yes, I don't care.
Well, Valenthe would have for sure.
Yeah. Well, actually, I have an example from Icewind Dale. That we actually it kind of semi started an argument, but afterwards we kind of all reluctantly all agreed with it. Where the end of the campaign, I'm Dr. Evil. My evil lich warlock patron's like, hey, you did this really cool thing. Thanks for giving me the MacGuffin. Give me a second while I ponder the MacGuffin orb and become basically a god. I'm like, all right, neat. Everything's falling to pieces. This is great. I see this as an absolute win. Turns around, sees the rest of my party being like, the fuck are you doing? What is that? I'm like, guys, don't worry. He's on our side.
What you got there? Smoothie.
Yeah, basically, literally what I'm doing. And so half the party were like, well, we have to stop him. And then I did the thing where I stood in between my patron pondering the MacGuffin and my party, trying to talk them down from wanting to attack an all-powerful lich and the guy who's giving me my magic. And so out of character, we had to have the discussion being like, do we want to do this? Do we want to like have a, because this is going to cause like a, player on player fight. Yeah. And so I said to the player, the rest of the group, I'm like, listen, like, if a fight breaks out, it's okay. Like I should have told the rest of the group, I'm like, listen, if a fight breaks out, I have to side with my patron. My character doesn't want to kill you guys, but he will defend his patron. And if you guys and your character have to take out my guy, Dr. Evil, as a player, Matt out of character is okay with it. And so you have to like kind of play, like not play these games, but like you have to like kind of talk out of, as the person, are you okay with it, to bring it back into the game. It's not metagamey. It's like, again, it's just having the conversation and then being like, everybody's cool. Okay. All right. Good game. All right. Let's go back in. And eventually the players agreed that they're like, well, we don't want to kill Matt's character. I guess we'll see what happens with the Lich. And then they all kind of like, I basically ended up winning the argument, if you call it an argument. But the rest of the players were not happy about it because they're like, damn, we really want to kill Matt's patron. He's fucking evil. Which also means Matt's character is evil. And I'm like,
character named Dr. Evil. What?
Yeah, basically.
Ow.
He wasn't actually named Dr. Evil.
No, remember, I was low key.
He was low key.
Yeah. When we were going to be, the Norse pantheons, and then everyone else gave up on the idea. Right. I'll never forget.
Like I'm still hurt by that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're talking about stuff on a player level, Matt. I think the thing Isaiah was getting at was even on a character level, the argument of it's what my character would do might be true if the character was alone, but dynamics change quite a lot when you're dealing with three other people in the situation.
So, 100%.
Like, let's take our party, for example, right? The understanding was that originally, right, the conceit of Luca, Dev, and Claw have been friends for at least a few months at this point. And if you expand that out, Claw being like, I'm just gonna walk dick first into that fucking evil castle, everything will be fine, and then he up and died. That's something that Claw would do because Claw put himself in danger first and foremost, and told his friends, well, if it gets bad, just leave my ass, like, just run, who fucking cares, right? That's one thing. But if Claw had not taken 8 chronic longswords to the chest and went, well, I just want to kill Strahd. It's like, but I'll die. And then he goes, yes, and that is a risk I'm willing to take. Is it though, right? Because presumably you want to hang, like, people you spend time with, you want to spend more time with them. You don't want to throw them into the lion's den and be like, deuce, and be gone, Although Claw did roll it to attack those hags and did almost get us killed, but it's fine.
Yes, he did.
It's fine. We talked our way out of it. Well, there was no TPK.
I think also, there's just the very simple and classic example that if you're traveling with a group of people, and, you know, in a D&D context, you're almost always traveling with a group of people who are, you know, keeping each other alive, then anytime you get into a situation where it's like, oh, well, it's what my character would do, that's going to be affected by the fact that, oh, I'm traveling with this gaggle of idiots who's keeping me alive. This is something my character might want to do, but might not reasonably be achievable because it's going to remove this gaggle of idiots who are protecting me. You know, and we are, you know, I mean, they're protecting each other, but, you know, in the same, like in our Descent into Avernus game, you know, could Paz have killed all three of the good guy characters in the middle of the night in their sleep? Absolutely. But then Paz would have been alone in hell by himself, and it probably wouldn't have gone very well.
You know? It would not have, no.
So it's the idea of it's what my character would do often could be explained away or justified of this is what my character would do, but my character's not going to, because they understand that these three other idiots that my character is currently with would disapprove of this, and then that would be bad for my own safety.
Yeah, you can sort of extrapolate it into the idea of like accepting cost, right?
It's
because if you get your players, if you get your teammates killed, and you are completely okay with, and you accept that, well, I mean, there's nothing really we can do to help. Like you've just accepted that cost. You got to hold that.
Yeah.
But most people aren't sociopaths, right?
Well, even most a sociopath, even a sociopath, like a serial killer is still, I mean, you know, if a serial killer's living with their mother, they're still generally going to be like, I should probably keep her alive. She feeds me. You know what I mean?
Well,
even if they are a sociopath.
Yeah, I mean sociopath is, and you're just fine with your friends being genuinely pissed off at you and you don't care.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing about, it's actually not that hard. In my opinion, it's not that hard to play a selfish character in D&D. It's actually quite easy, because you could be a selfish piece of shit and just look at all the allies around you as tools, but you still keep them around, you know? Like,
yeah, well, so what I was going to say is if your character is like a klepto, right? If you wrote into your backstory, my character is a straight up kleptomaniac, I steal things because I have an addiction to stealing things, and that gets the party in trouble, yeah, sure, like, you can do that. Understand that there is like temperance there, right? Don't just fucking try to steal the king's crown and get all the players killed. But there is something to say about accepting the cost. If you're fine with with other players getting mad at you and that sort of resulting in you maybe not being at a table because of the way you act, I fucking guess. But most people aren't like that, and I think most people wouldn't want to be coined as someone who is that kind of problematic. So, well, almost certainly isn't going to be that common.
Even not in that scenario, like, oh, my character's a kleptomaniac, and then the other players go, oh, are you gonna like try to steal from us every goddamn night we'd rest or whatever? And then you as a player go, no, I'm not going to, because my player is smart enough to understand that trying to steal from the barbarian who's protecting his ass, you know, he might cleave my head in two. I'm dumb enough to understand that's probably a bad idea, and if we need to travel for the next several weeks together, if I piss off the barbarian, you know, he's probably not going to cover my ass the way I need him to, so no, I'm not going to steal from you guys as, you know, characters, right? Like, there's lots of ways to just very easily come up with an explanation, you know, and it's like, okay, if you're playing the klepto character, are you going to try and steal from NPCs all the time? And it's like, yeah, I probably will try to steal from NPCs, but if you guys, you know, if you guys in character elect to let my ass get beat, that's fine. Like, that makes sense. You know, like, it's so easy to just justify it and not use the Nuremberg defense, you know? Like, if your defense is it's what my character would do, I don't know, fucking, I'm gonna kick you with the nads. Whether you have nads or not. This felt like a weird tangent.
All of that to say, you don't have to do what your character would do 100% of the time. Use common sense, be logical, be reasonable more than logical, honestly.
Well, or just find a way to justify doing what your quote-unquote character would do, you know? Like,
and accept the cost, yeah.
Like, well, no. What I mean is, do something that you might think initially is out of character, but then find a way to justify it, because there almost always is a way. You know what I mean? Like, there's almost always a way to back justify. Essentially, retcon what your character was thinking, because there's very rarely a scenario where you can't.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah, you kind of you answered. I didn't have that many points here, but you did sort of answer in your own way. Like, is there a situation where you would take that agency away from players?
It is.
Yeah, and I pretty much had the same answer that you did. So, Matt, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, unique thoughts that weren't already said?
Not really. I think we kind of touched on everything, but yeah, no, player agency is, it's pretty important. And sorry, my brain died like mid-sentence for no reason. Player agency good. Don't take it away. Give players agency, but not too much.
No, do take it away, but only take it away when it makes sense to take it away.
Sure.
Take it away reasonably. Because it is malleable, like all things in tabletop.
Yeah.
It is malleable.
Sorry, I just got hit with a wave of time.
Just don't mind. It's like don't mind control your
the
players.
Fucking player.
Yeah. Like, that's where you get into that weird zone.
Yeah.
Or don't like force a decision on them where they are sort of ill-informed, because you are indirectly removing agency in that regard. If you choose that, if you tell them to make a choice between route A and route B, but you only explained what's going to happen if they take route A, then that is sort of an indirect way of taking agency, because you are.
Also, it didn't matter because all routes lead to point C.
I mean,
bitches.
Yeah, that too. There is that.
Yeah.
If there was never actually, if you were just hiding the choice in the background, just don't put the choice. There's just.
I will say I've done the thing, and this isn't really agency, but I've done the thing in the 3-year game where I've set up a town, I've made adventures, and the players are like, well, instead of going to the setup town, we're just going to go to town B out of nowhere. And then me, Matt, as a GM, being like, oh shit, what do I do? Wait a minute. I already prepped up city A. What if I just moved all the things to city B? Delightfully devilish, Seymour.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to be real. Using assets.
I've done that multiple times, though, in the 3-year game.
This isn't like the fudging rolls, which I may or may not have done, and you can't prove otherwise.
Well, here's the thing.
Allegedly.
That's not what I'm even talking about, because what you're saying, Matt, is players wanted to do a weird thing, so I just reused my prep stuff. You didn't give them a false choice. They just made a weird decision. That's not what I was talking about. Was false choices.
Yeah, and in that, and I agree with you that like, I have done that as well, straight up, because it's just
works fine.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right, where they don't know what's in town A or B. They just know that there is a town A or B, and you reasonably did not prep for town B. So for your players to expect that of you is unfair. So like you have tools at your disposal, you're just using them. Now, if you tell players, right, if you literally tell them, there's a shopkeep named Mahadi, and there's this thing that does this, and then they're like, oh, okay, we don't want to go there. We want to go to this other town. And then you just do that anyway, then yes, you have taken their agency away. You have set an expectation as to what they would find if they did a certain thing, and then you have therefore unfairly subverted that expectation.
You gave a false choice.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes, your players just being like, fuck it, we're just gonna go somewhere else because we feel like it. Different scenario. Also, a little bit of a dick move.
A little bit, but a reasonable,
because the
very reasonable dick move.
I mean, not the most, not the most unreasonable dick move, but
yeah,
a little annoying nonetheless. I that's a whole taboo discussion. Like, oh, what if we just leave town and go collect bear asses instead? It's like, I mean, you
Why?
can.
But why?
Yeah, it's just
Why are you like this?
I mean, the
It's just
deadly
so-
forest of dire bears do have a lot of bear asses.
true. It's just so fucking.
That's when you need to set up the bovine defense force.
I don't know. That shit annoys me. I don't. That's a separate thing, so I won't go down rabbit hole. But why? Why are you like this? It really
Hey,
is.
Josh, I know you really made exploration a thing, but I just want to hang out in the city. I want to open up a pizzeria. Not a pizzeria, completely different organization.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
can we actually just make this a business sim? Can I just
No,
can we just,
absolutely
can we just stay in the
not.
city? I just want to sell pizzas and like we learn like economics of fantasy gold and trade routes and
Bro,
see
I would
about how do we
fucking
get our
shoot myself.
pizzeria to expand.
Listen, I'm a history nerd, but that is a certain type of nerdry I am not about. I do not give a fuck about ancient
Come on, Spicy Wolf
economics.
made economics fun.
I don't give a fuck. I'm out. I'm not gonna look into how ancient economics of trading worked. Good. I don't want to know exchange.
Tijuana.
I don't want to know exchange rates. I'm good.
All right, well, it's because I forgot to do it at the beginning of the session, and I'm pretty much out of things to talk about. Do you want to tell them where they can find us?
No, because you say it wrong every time.
That's a shame. They're just never going to find us.
No, but they are because they've already found us if they're hearing your voice currently. See,
How would the rest of them find us? Those of them who haven't found us yet.
well, hitting the follow or subscribe button does not help you find us. It just informs you that we are still alive. Get a little notification. Upload a thing.
From a certain point of view, that's being found.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're lost in the woods and then someone has to find you, they are both finding out that you are A, still alive, and B, finding you in general.
That's not what this scenario is.
It might be. You
The
don't know.
follow or subscribe button implies you have already found it because in order to hit the follow or subscribe button, which you should do right now, you would have to already found us.
Yeah, tell us in the comments below. Have you
Don't
had
try
your
to don't
player
try to do
agency
that thing
taken
where
away?
you don't move the goalpost to try and make yourself right. This is not that scenario.
What do you know what you're talking about?
Yeah, okay.
Have you ever had a bad experience like Matt did? Let us know in the comments.
I have. I've actually had a few of them, but I'm just not going to.
Not an Adventurers League.
Not Adventures League. I've had a few. None of this mattered moments.
Yeah. I want to give Adventure League another shot.
Yeah, I'm good.
I mean, look, it seems fun in the like speed run. How fast can your puzzle solving brain work? Like doing a dungeon run onto a timer, that seems fun to me. I would do that.
That's not Adventurers League.
Isn't it the whole
that-
point of Adventures League is to like
So that's
to
some of
complete
the
it in a certain amount of
epics.
time?
No, that's
They have
competitive
epics, but
play.
they're yeah.
That's
Which
a
I don't know if they do that. Epic, they do have epics where they'll have a big dungeon and everyone's timed in the 4 hours, and every group, whoever completes the adventure first wins, and
That's a
they
separate
do
thing.
that kind of stuff sometimes. But those are only in the epics of Adventure League, not like everyday normal.
Adventurers League
Games.
is just a form of organized play where you get together in a shared space and everyone plays with the same set of rules, and there's like restrictions on what books you can and can't use, and like
Yeah. And they have
GMs. GMs sort of sign up to be GMs for Adventurer League, and then you say, "I'm
Yeah.
looking for an Adventurer League game for this module," and then you join with one of the GMs that said they were willing to GM.
Like right now, they have they're coming out with a bunch for
It's a Facebook
the
group,
Dragonlance
basically.
one. Yeah, Planescape. They have a shit ton. And again, you can just, if you don't want to run Adventure League, but you want to look up what they're doing, you can just buy the adventures from DM's Guild, like I do.
It's like joining a Discord specifically to find games with randos,
But in person, in the flesh.
but it's officially run by Wizards,
True.
which is kind of that's the main important thing. Is it's like an officially sanctioned thing.
Yeah.
I think it can also have like effects on the lore and shit potentially, or at least that's happened in the past. I don't know if they do that so much anymore. That was the thing at one point.
That'd be cool.
But anyway, yeah, it has nothing to do with competitive. Competitive play does exist, but that's a separate thing.
Actually, okay, no, I will bring up one instance of, and none of this mattered anyway.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It was right before my first game exploded. We had to fight this big werewolf boss. It was this huge thing. We were told, like, in the past, we were given like 2 weeks to prep for it. He was like, really pull out all the stops, know your sheet, do like, play like a pro gamer, basically, right? So that's what we all did. We like, I'm the strategist most of the time when I in a party, right? I'm like, okay, we do this. If you do that, then I can do this, and then you can do this, and then and that person can bounce off that. I'm that guy. So I was DMing people for 2 weeks straight and getting battle plans together, getting like, I remember I was texting Aster and Ant, and I was like, okay, I am going to do this thing with Aster. If that fails, and it probably will, you can do this thing, which can bounce off our thing, which will let us redo that thing. I was going hard, right? We get into this boss fight, and it's tough. Like, we're getting our asses kicked. It's rough, and it's werewolves too, right? We're fighting like beefed up werewolves, and then one like 20-foot tall werewolf. It was crazy. The first thing that happened, it's not really taking away our agency, that everyone just kind of stopped and was like, "Are you fucking me right now?" Was one of the players got bit, and we're like, "Ah, shit," and he was like, "Oh, well, everything's fine." And then immediately the turn after, the DM took our character sheet away. It was just like, "Nope, you've lost control of this character. They're a werewolf now. Nothing you can do about it unless you cure it." Right?
It was an instant werewolf shit.
You had 1 round, and then it was just character's gone.
Jesus.
So I was like, "Oh shit, character's been turned to werewolf. Okay, I can fix this. I have remove curse, right?" So I use remove curse. There's a 5th level or what is it?
Normally it's 3rd level.
3rd, yeah. Or was it Greater Resto? I think I used Greater Resto or something. And I get told, okay, you have to make me 2. It was like 2 wisdom checks or something. It was some sort of like, I have to roll 2 checks to see if I can break the curse. And we were like, but why? And he's like, you just gotta roll 2. And we were like, but like 1, okay, fair enough. I can understand being told to make 1 check.
That's what I was just thinking. Why 2?
Yeah, but we were like, why 2?
He basically just said roll with disadvantage.
Yeah, true. That would have I think that would have got us less annoyed, to be honest. So we rolled twice, character gets saved, and now we're doing this. This is going on throughout the fight, which is beyond infuriating. And at the end, we pull out all the stops, we burn all of our stuff, and our friend Aster, who was playing a paladin, gets this like crazy strong crit in on this dude, pumps his highest level smite into it, and all we get is, okay, you cut his arm off. And then Aster's turn ended, and then the DM goes, okay, well, you cut his arm off, and he runs out the door, and the door shuts behind him. And we were like, no attack of opportunity, no nothing, just can't do nothing, he's just gone. And he was like, yep, he's gone. And then all of us who were, we were told for weeks, this is fight to the death. This is already this was us on downtime, because we were like, we just want to do some downtime activities. It's been really crazy. We were in a side quest that started in our downtime for like 4 months. So we just want this to be over, right? We're just kind of done. We've had our fun. I wish for murder. So every player used whatever they had left: misty steps, fucking hastes, long striders, dash actions to get out that door and to get to the docks where the guy was. In the 60 seconds it took us, the werewolves quadrupled in number, which originally there was like 10. Now there's like, the whole town's infested with werewolves. They burned every ship in the dock, burned down the dock, and they're sailing out. They're already out to harbor in 60 seconds. Yeah. But I'm an artificer, dear friends, with thunder cannon, with sharpshooter,
Oof.
and the extended range mod on the Thunder Cannon. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm a sharpshooter him. I was like, what's his range? It was like sub 1,000, which was I had like 1,000 feet range. I was like, so you're saying he's within range? And I took the shot and murked him, and then was told, oh, congrats, you just ruined a character storyline. We were like, but how? What? It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing.
Just ruined a character storyline.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a whole thing. Again,
I see.
why did any of that happen? We don't know.
Yeah, that was a series of questionable events.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Whole thing.
And then the
And then
game ended.
we were almost
so
murdered. It did. It ended because after we
Nothing
saved the day
resolved.
from the werewolves, and then we were like, we can finally go home and not have to worry about this. And then a character was like, hey, some random guy was like, hey, you're all coming with me. You have to go kill those werewolves now. And we're like, yeah, cool. You can't tell us what to do, bud. We're leaving. And he was like, if you don't, you're gonna die. We're gonna hang you. And I was like, all right, bro, you can kill my character. I'm done. I'm out. Yeah. And then the game ended.
the werewolf situation never got resolved.
No,
Nice.
no.
Werewolf City, let's go.
No, I did make silver mustard gas to use on those werewolves, but we never managed to do that. Big sad moments.
I remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really excited about it too, because I was like thinking about how I could get it done. I was like, you can aerosolize like liquid silver, and then use like a chemical agent mixed in with the liquid silver, so it would cancel out their healing factor, and just start mustard gassing all the werewolves. I was truly my most Dexter in that moment. And me with 18,000 gold to spend from looting a dragon's hoard was like, Dungeon Master, here's the money. Make it happen.
Give
I don't
me
care.
what I want.
Make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah,
Dungeon
that's
Master.
it. That's the
Blast his cock off.
yeah. Dungeon Master, blast it. That was me. Dungeon Master, I'm gonna blast his cock off.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. All right, that's it. That's all I got, y'all. Thanks for coming.
In Night City, you can come.
In Night City, you can come.
Oh wait, I actually have the sound alert, but I can't play it because
don't-
copyright.
Do not do that here, please.
It'd also probably be really
Resist.
loud. So let's not.
Stupidity impulse.
Honestly, the copyright not even really a problem. It's a video game song, but like it would probably.
Oh, so I can just play it then.
It probably would just blow our fucking ears out.
It might. I kind of want to play the I'm Crucified Fuji thing, but that would definitely get us caught.
What about Fartwood Reverb?
I also don't think it would come through on the recordings.
I will. I tested it.
No,
It'll come up on my end,
no,
which is all that matters.
no.
I want to try, but I'm really scared too. No, I'm not. All right, we gotta go.
All right. Shout out to my boy Jake, number 3 on Spotify. Thanks, bud. I appreciate you.
Follow us on Twitter.
Josh,
Follow
it's
us
not called
on-
Twitter anymore. It's called X.
Twitter.
All right. See y'all.